Hello everyone, I'm Chen. My teammates Yiru, Liangliang, Xinxu, Jiaxiang, and I will introduce the sewage treatment process of Cleveland wastewater treatment plant. From the first picture, we can see that the whole sewage treatment plant is divided into 5 areas: inlet work system, bioreactor, clarification, disinfection, and dewatering. Generally speaking, the purpose of the sewage treatment process is to remove solids, nutrients, and viruses from the water. Different treatment facilities will be used to treat different pollutions, and I'm going to introduce the first step of the whole sewage treatment process, which is the inlet work system. Firstly, we can see that pumping station transports and collects sewage generated by people into the inlet work system through pressure differences. After the collection, the sewage will enter the band screen system. And then we can see that the surface of the band screen system contains many small holes with a diameter of 5 to 6 millimeters. When sewage passes through the system, large solids beyond the size will be trapped. When large solids accumulate to a certain amount and hinder the flow of sewage, the band will rotate to transport large solids to the trash bin. After that, the sewage will enter the second part of the inlet work system, which is the grade removal system. According to the survey, 15% of the inorganic materials contained in domestic sewage are small materials with a diameter less than 250 microns, which cannot be removed in band screen. So, the purpose of the grade removal system is to remove these tiny materials. This system makes tiny grades settle to the bottom of the system through the high-speed rotation. After that, the tiny grades are transported to the industry trash bin, and after the whole process, most of the solid particles in the domestic sewage are removed, but the nutrition and bacteria in the wastewater cannot be removed in this process. So the following measures are still needed, and my partner will continue to introduce the next step.
After the previous step, the sediment and the salt waste in the wastewater has been removed and the water flows into bioreactor. The purpose of this part is to convert the organic pollutants in the wastewater into stable and harmless substances by using the oxidation of microorganisms. The purification method is biological contact oxidation method, and this is a cross between the active sludge process and biological filter membrane technology. Its characteristic is packing and installed the pore bottom aeration to oxygenate of sewage, and the pore in water is a state of flow to ensure good contact with sewage and wastewater in the packing. Avoid the biological contact oxidation pore contact with packing the uneven defects existing in the sewage. The basic principle of wastewater purification is the same as the general biofilm method. The organic matter in wastewater is absorbed by biofilm under the condition of oxygen, and the organic matter is oxidized and decomposed by microorganisms, and the wastewater is purified. Microbes in the required oxygen supply by blast aeration, biofilm grows to contain thicknesses firewall microbes by anaerobic metabolism from lack of oxygen gas and aeration of the formation of the soil will cause the seeding of biological membrane and promote the growth of new biological membrane. And this is point. The flow of biofilm will vary depending on the outside the poor water outflow. After the previous step, the sediment and the solid waste in the wastewater has been removed and the water flows into bioreactor. The purpose of this part is to convert the organic pollutants in the wastewater into stable and harmless substances by using the oxidation of
I will introduce the step 3, clarification. Clarified water is water which has undergone clarification to remove suspended solids and solid particles. Water clarification is used in the pre-treatment of drinking water, period to further purification and treatment of municipal wastewater and industrial effluent. The last time the teacher took us to visit the wastewater treatment plant looked at this picture. I learned a lot. In particular, there are a variety of ways to purify wastewater. The wastewater treatment plant uses chlorine sterilization method, and its principle is to treat residues of organic matter with microorganisms, and then I will introduce another treatment for wastewater. And this treatment is for wastewater. The wastewater neutralization treatment method is one of the chemical treatment methods for wastewater. A method of treating wastewater and neutralization to purify it. The basic principle is to make hydrogen ion in acidic wastewater and hydroxide ion, or to interact with hydroxide ion in the alkaline wastewater to form weakly dissociated water molecules, and to form other salts that are soluble or difficult to dissolve.
Next is the disinfection project. Tap water chlorination salt many by hypochlorite and hydrolysis. When chlorine added to water dissolution, which many produce hypochlorous acid and hypochlorous acid ions. Because the material has strong oxidation, it is easy to penetrate into the surface of bacteria with generative charge and penetrate into the cell interior through the cell wall. Then through oxidation, it destroys the enzyme system and protein synthesis of bacteria and kill them, achieve the effect of disinfection. The reason why not directly use hypochlorous acid for disinfection because hypochlorous acid have high cost, easy to decompose, and difficult to perceive, and have greater toxicity. Chlorine disinfection can balance the dissolution, deposition, and synthesis of hypochlorous acid in water. Finally, sodium bisulfate was used as a reducing agent to remove the excess chlorine in chlorinated water. This is the chemical equation for chlorine disinfection. There are also problems with chlorine disinfection. From the current station, there are sodium hypochlorite, paraffin powder, iodium water, and ultraviolet light to disinfect. Of all the disinfection, chloride is the most economical choice. However, due to the unsafe transport, management, and storage of chlorine, the solubility between gas and water is low, and the pressure of chlorine synthesis is constantly changing. In addition, chlorine and other gases have a strong diffusion effect on the environment. The high activity of free chlorine and many organic compounds are easy to form some carcinogenic chlorated organic compounds, causing the second pollution of the environment. In some developed countries, the use of chlorine gas is restricted, especially in public places and waterworks, where sodium hypochlorite is mainly used for disinfection. Chlorine gas is mainly used for the disinfection of the last tap water in large sewage treatment.
The activated sludge produced after reaction of phosphorus and carbon species is transported to the dewatering system after settling. This is due to excessive sludge. In order to improve transportation efficiency, the burden on the reaction vessel is reduced. So, here the sludge and water will be subjected to the final manual separation. First, the white sludge is spread from the pipe and falls on the filter material cloth. The filter material cloth has a lot of fine pores, and a part of the water can be filtered out in this process. Then, through the gap between the two filter material cloths, the water falls into a pool. That is, the area marked by the white box in the picture. The sludge falls on another filter cloth and gradually dries. Finally, the sludge enters the interlayer, which between the two filter cloths. Finally, water is compressed by pressure of the filter cloth, so that the white sludge becomes dry. On the other hand, the filtered cold water is pumped back to the reactor. As for the dry sludge, it is collected by conveyor belts and finally captured and transported into fertilizer or other available materials. This is all the function systems of the water treatment plant. In general, the water is simply filtered after entering the treatment plant to separate water and solid particles. Then, the water is transported to a reaction tank for biological reaction to reduce the activity sludge. Next, the water and activity sludge mixture is sent to the cycling tank for initial cycling. The cited water is transported to a chlorine gas pool for disinfection and finally discharged into nature. The cited white sludge enters the dewatering system to separate the sludge and water. The dry sludge is transported away, and the water is returned to a reaction tank for chlorine disinfection. The above is the explanation of our group. Thank you for watching.